is he? Do the whole fucking class. Let's see. Oh, I'm live right now. Hooray! Hi, everybody. I'm going to put you on the other screen because I still need to figure out some technical thing. I had a slideshow. All right, hi everybody. I am here. Um, Sorry for the delay. The outdoor noise is still going on out there, the cheering and such. I was just waiting for that to calm down, at least to a point, so you could hear me. Do we have go on audio? Can someone confirm that my audio is not awful? I appreciate the fact that everyone's response to hello is meow. That's how we're gonna start class now. That music is called Arcade Gremlin, Arcade Gremlin. I can post a link to the. It is a public domain or open source Creative Commons thing. All right. So we got about audio's working for me, but I had to crank my. Okay, so it's kind of quiet. Hold on 1 second. That's cranked up all the way there. Let me check the microphone volume. Is that volume wise any better or worse? Okay. Starts class meow. Yeah, start class meow. Okay. So so today what I was going to do, I definitely, as promised last week, we're going to be doing some warm up stuff and some warm up cuts. So and then we're going to then go from our really basic warm ups to doing to an AMA. So I'm not exactly sure how long today is going to go past. I have a couple quick observations just to talk about during the AMA. Otherwise, I'm just going to be opening things uh, to questions. Um, um, so we're getting some people popping in. So I'll give it another minute or so, um, and then I will start. I think things are finally just quieting down outside, which is also helpful. Yeah, the one technical thing I always have to remember with this microphone is every time it gets turned off, it always goes all the way down to 0, and I have to turn it, past 3. Um, okay, so it is about 5 after. So what we'll do is we're going to start with doing some warm ups. Let's see. All right. So all right, let's do the warm up thing. Okay. Everyone, just make a little bit of space. I'm working in kind of a confined area, so if I knock something over, it will be hilarious. All right. So let's get started. All right. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roku Senshi Hach Ni Sanshi Go Roku Senshi Hach H Ni Sanshi Go Roku Senshi Hach Ni Sanshi Go Roku Senshi Hach H Ni Sanshi Go Roku Senshi Hach Ni Sanshi Go Touch all the way down, all the way back. One of the things I keep meaning to do is kind of explain what each of these drill exercises is for. And so this first set that we're doing is kind of getting the arms moving, and like this particular motion is to kind of stretch back, kind of open up the chest a little bit, stretch out the arms, all that kind of thing. Same with these other flows, which I'm sure people are kind of used to from other warm-ups that we've done in the past. Yeah, well, the vertical video is simply because there is it's the way the studio is set up and the way the computer's interpreting the camera right now. That's what we got. I'm not changing it. All right. Where were we? It's also the way. So like if I'm doing drills or something, I can kind of see higher above. Where were we with? All right. So where were we? We were doing big circles. So we want to start real low and move. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This next one is about a couple different stretching of the arms. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jumping jacks. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Alright, now we're going to do the sumo, which is your feet just about one fist length apart. Down, up, down, up. Alright, stretch out left foot, 2, 4, other foot, 5, 6, 7, 8, back, 2, 3, 4, and back, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deeper lunges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, knees start going clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, backwards. 5, 6, 7, 8. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this is the one that always kind of gets people. So we're doing 2 stretches for this last part, which is you want to stretch out your hand and also your back leg. Right? You want to make sure that you feel just a little bit of pressure back there, a little bit of stretch, and in the hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So let's do some warm-up cuts. Grab your sword-shaped object or whatever you're using to train with right now. We're going to do a simplified set. And on Fridays, we'll be doing the full set, along with a bunch of other thrusting practice, etc. Okay, so let's begin in High Vom-Tag. We're going to strike Oberhau to Einhorn. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we're going to cut to long point. Same position, beginning in the High Vom-Tag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, all the way to Alber. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So again, back to the right, to the High Vom-Tag, and we are going to do right Oberhau. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, switch feet. I'm just going to turn around because I limited space here. We're going to go switch your feet, so put your left foot forward, begin in that High Vom-Tag, and we're going to strike left Oberhau. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, we're just going to do Unterhau, not our normal Oberunter. So, everyone into the neighborhood. On the left hand, we're going to start on the left hand side. So put your right foot forward. And we're going to cut Unterhau. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch sides. 1, right Unterhau. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's our basic cuts for now. I'd like to do so what we're going to so that's just like a good little warm up for everyone. So this Friday, what we're going to do for class as we're going to kind of dive back into our look at some longsword kata kind of that we've been discussing. And the way we're going to be breaking this down, since very few of us have training partners, I found a fun little creative solution. What we can do is we can take, because it's a paired typically a paired training drill, what we can do is we can both learn the feeder and the player part. And so that way, because at the end of every the drill, it's intended to kind of flow back and forth, the text says to reverse the drill. So so what we'll be doing this Friday is learning the player and feeder role for 2 new katas. That will be we're going to review the kind of the practicing for using right overhow and the practice for left overhow, and then we are going to do some parry riposte practice for right and left Unterhau as well. Right. All right. Let's see. Oh no, Dina, you'll have to buff that out. Putting a hole in the ceiling. All right. So as I said, today's kind of it's a slow week. I've been very busy preparing some some fun things for the next couple of weeks, which are gonna hopefully, if the weather cooperates, means maybe doing some HEMA outside in the park. And I have a couple of people that have volunteered to be on camera to help us out there, so that's going to be fun. I mostly get so that's a little bit that will be hopeful for Fridays, and also for folks who are on the Teachable. That content is coming soon, and so the thing that I just kind of wanted to talk about today was, I guess it's just more of a general subject, and I wanted to kind of pick all your brains too. One of the things, I guess, under the subject of fear, forget exactly how all this came up, but it has a lot to do with the idea of fear of failure and how that kind of plays into how we train. I think it's kind of rooted in a question that was sent to me over a direct message, and it kind of got my brain kind of picking around the topic. The idea that is that there's this kind of, whenever we're doing something, we kind of have this fear because we always want to do well when we go, do anything, be it HEMA or any other endeavor. And fear can kind of be something that sets us back. As much as it can motivate us, it can also set us back, because it's the fear of maybe being bad or not doing well. And I think a lot of that kind of plays into some of the uh, a lot of what we've been talking about is mindful practice, right? Let me back up just a little bit by saying, uh, and part of the problem with like something, yeah, and the way it plays into like the idea of mindful practice and some other things that like Katie wrote an article a few weeks ago, about not practicing like a zombie, right? um, or worse, don't practice maliciously, right? Kind of play the role you're given when you're doing a type of paired drill. Um, but certain things come out both in say like practice and tournament. If there's fear, the competition, like this kind of this competitive edge happens a lot, and I think that there's this uh, something that happens also, both in training and to a certain degree in competition, where or more so actually in the context of training, we mess up as training partners because we don't want to appear like we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know the solution to something. Um, um, so the idea of so one of the problems always like with the folks who are typically trying to win the drill are trying to like assert something to a certain degree. um, but I guess my big thing is that I'm trying in always kind of like open to hearing what other folks have to say too. Is one of the things I'm really trying to do is um, talk a lot, dive into the idea of how we can make an environment that's easier and more productive to fail in. Um, I think, especially in modern times, we're not taught or given the bandwidth. Failure is given a bad rap. Uh, it's like just like it feels weird even to use this term right now, the word failure. Like, oh, I failed to do blank, because it has this. I don't know if it's American polite society or something, but there's this idea that failure is always bad. All right, well, I mean, I would rather define it as like, okay, failure isn't good, but it's also not always an overwhelmingly negative thing, because most of the way we get feedback for the practice that we're doing um, is through failure. Because if we only ever learn through success, then we're less likely to kind of continue with things that we're not naturally good at. Um, one of the things that really um, one of the things I always kind of bring up whenever I talk about this is like when I first started HEMA, I was not very athletic. I was not, um, and I think like the the most training I'd have for any type of physical activity was probably the 2 semesters of required physical education I had to take in college. So, um, I was when I started HEMA, I was slow and like inelegant and just incredibly um, uh, embarrassingly like bad at fencing and like all at all levels. But I was enthusiastic and excited because I was um, uh, like when you don't know anything and you're starting to like learn a new hobby or learn anything, like there's that like spike, that spike of knowledge. You go from knowing nothing to learning like something. So you feel this massive curve, and also the excitement of like, oh, swords are fun. Let's play with swords. Um, was always there. So, uh, but then after a while, like the fear started to set in when I had plateauing, because I was practicing all the time. I was practicing my heart out, and I wasn't getting better. Um, and I was it's that HEMA plateau, and we all feel that. And one of the things that was brought up to me by my teachers was the fact that like I had to kind of change my mindset of how I was um, approaching the practice, and that's where all this kind of talk for like this deliberate practice approach. Um, it's nothing is not necessarily like it's not something new, um, but it is like recent in my or newer, like immediately recent, but like it's something I had to learn during my like martial arts training, be it HEMA or JSA or whatnot. And uh, and what I was learning was that like my fear of failure was playing into how I was practicing my martial arts, because I was only doing things in, say, free play that I kind of knew I could do better than other parts of my like catalog, and I was only trying to ever set up those things, which makes you kind of a predictable fencing opponent to a lot of degrees. Um, and I was and it was I always would get frustrated and be I don't know, afraid to embarrass myself of trying something new. Um, so a lot of from so for me, it was about changing a perspective of practice and what did it mean to practice, and like learning how to practice. Tristan and I had a good conversation that aired on the AMA session a few weeks ago about that, and so I would recommend go check out some of what he has to say about it. Um, and again, and so like this last session where I talked about like tools for practicing for better deliberate practice, um, were things that all kind of um, help me get past that fear by giving myself little goals, and um, uh, help having a roadmap to doing better was incredibly helpful. And because I know that like when there is that kind of background radiation to a certain degree, like, and especially if you're in an environment that doesn't necessarily view failure as part of the educational process, where you haven't been exposed to that, it can be difficult. So one of the things I was wanted to talk to everyone today about, or really just kind of open up the floor to, is if there are things how we can do better for that in that way as a community, or but also in general. This is an Ask Me Anything, so I'm open to all sorts of any HEMA related questions, and let's yeah. So I guess that's all I really had to say. It was just like the idea of tackling fear, and kind of a part of the deliberate practice for me as like someone who's helping teach is about laying a roadmap for how we can all kind of do that together, and also working with students to help with your I want to help with your deliberate practice, the kind of remove those weird um, uh, speed bumps. Yeah. So, all right. That being said, everyone, let's. If you have any questions or about anything, please start typing them in now, either on the Discord or the YouTube. I have both windows open. Let's see. No. All right. Nothing. All right. Yeah. Like I said, today is going to be a little bit shorter. I don't have a whole lot of material prepared. Uh, but I definitely wanted to check in with everyone. So just in general, how's everyone doing this week? I know it's only Tuesday, but or how have things been since the last check-in? And what have you all been up to training-wise? Oh, Kat is talking on the Discord. One of the main mottos of the Mythbusters was failure is always an option. That's how learning works. I try to keep that in mind for many things, including, yeah, including feeling. Yeah, feeling, fencing, edited, including fencing. Yeah, yeah. It's every every exchange is a puzzle. and it's okay to fail. Let's see, we got a question coming in or a comment coming in from Joe. Give Joe just another second. All right, so the one thing I'm going to do is I'm giving everyone homework. Um, what I'd like you to do is print out that sheet for deliberate practice, and I want everyone to choose one thing. It's one thing, and I want you, after a couple days, uh, I want you to come up with at least one question based on that thing you're working on, because that will help me. That'll help me kind of with everything, kind of with these AMAs, and I think people, because if you have the question, someone else does too, so that'll help kind of set everything up. Joe says, "You'll be shocked to learn of my nihilistic attitude, but I started enjoying HEMA events and tournaments a lot more I went with the attitude of do something cool rather than trying to win." I think that's a great attitude, actually. Kind of like, I completely agree. I think that to a certain, we've talked about this a lot of times about how that competitiveness, the the fact that we're entering this consensually violent competitive thing, and everyone the one-upsmanship of constantly trying to win doesn't always help the situations. Joe also went. Joe won a gold medal once. It didn't make the emptiness go away. No, I mean it never does. I mean that's what Lime-A-Ritas and alcohol are for. So, um, yeah. Um, but yeah. So, what are things that people are thinking they're going to work on, deliberate practice wise? Have people been giving that much thought? No? All right. Oh, we got a comment coming in. I also appreciate how everyone who has mod capabilities in the Discord server are giving or handing out the nicknames and how they stick around. Yeah, when I often find when you go in with the lower the expectations for performance, and but you still go in and wanting to, I mean, it's just to do what you know how to do. It's just the performance anxiety tends to go away. That's my biggest issue with at least the past year or so. Like with competition, it's been issues of performance anxiety and having a lot of pressure put on me about um, uh, just what people expected me to come home with. Uh, I need to like create a little "Would you like to know more" button, and people can hit that if they want me to go down rabbit holes. But um, all right, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave the floor open for just a couple more minutes. I promise next week this will be a little more high energy, and it will be. There'll definitely be more. I have some things in mind already for what I would like to discuss and kind of go over, and just not cards just didn't fall into place fast enough for this Tuesday. But I'm excited for Friday's class. I have some. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, shoulder and back health. I mean, I don't know if you could hear it through this microphone when I was doing the overhow, but there was a clicking sound from the repetitive motion. My solution so far has been Tiger Balm, Arnica, Advil, and Hope, which is probably not the best combination, but I live in America in the 21st century, and that's the best healthcare I can get right now. Um, but I think a big part of it's going to be about stretching. In fact, yeah, for next week is going to be a yoga session. That's what we'll do next week. That sounds actually like a really good idea. Kat has a yoga warm up that she does. That's good for cooling down and warming up, and does a lot of good stretches for everything. And I think that like what Lacey's asking about, like back and shoulder health, a lot of that's going to be about just small, like incremental, like. And it actually kind of applies to everything that uh, that it's going to feel like when we get back into the dojo. We're all going to feel rusty and terrible and need to cut ourselves a lot of slack, right? So it's all going to be about patience and incrementally kind of building ourselves back up to where we once were, and that's going to be a group effort, I think, and definitely going to we can also start finding some drills and stretches and exercises to work on things like those particular parts of the body. We can work. Yeah, maybe. Also, Lacey, these are things that I'll do some research on, and I can. There we can maybe try to put together something, or even doing online for like the Friday classes. Start building in more core exercises into our warm ups, and so it's not just okay stretching now sword cutting. So maybe we can try to do some more of that as well. Um, um, Hopefully when we get back, folks like KDK and other people who have a background in these types of things will be able to really uh, uh, come back in full force. I was training. I've done nothing with actual swords with a small daily. Oh yeah, the Indian clubs are really good, Joe. I agree. Yeah, I've been meaning to try to pick up a set of those. Those are quite good. Personally, I've been using this weighted trainer a lot with both one hand and two hands, because it's just long enough, and also like lots of pull-ups, lots of push-ups, um, and resistance bands are great. Finding all fun and interesting ways. Also, one of those grip strengthening things has been a big part of like, okay, I'm bored. I'm just going to sit here and dick around on the computer, but then alternate grip strength. Um, and riding a bike. It's been um, um, I got a bike because it's easier to get around New York that way now, and um, I think last week I clocked in over 27 miles of biking, and so that's for someone who's new to it. It was a lot. My butt still hurts. It's probably why I'm so low energy right now. Um, uh, Rehabbing my shoulders was all about building up my back strength and learning to drop my shoulders and use my back instead of my shoulders. Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Um, and again, it's about learning to trust our core and to trust our grip, and kind of trust ourselves with the sword is also a big part of it too. It's one of the reasons why a lot of folks tend to rely on their arms and abuse their shoulders and arms a lot. Um, oh yeah, sledgehammers are great. A number of people have picked them up, uh, and it seems to be a very very constructive way to uh, um, train. They're also quite good for practice cutting too. I think Josh was Josh and Kat have a sledgehammer. They've been was it sledgehammer, engineer's hammer. Um, so engineering their way to a solution. Let's see what else. What was the other thing? I've been finding one of the things I really appreciate, and I know it's something that might be it's not unique but rare amongst everyone. It's like I'm lucky enough that I practice multiple disciplines, and part of that is it helps keep me sharp in that way of uh, um, I have to kind of code switch between HEMA and JSA a lot, and that's though there's a lot of overlap, there are things that are different. Um, And I know personally for me, it is very helpful to kind of having that switch, to keep me kind of, you know, curious, and it's not like, so I'm not doing the same thing every day, but finding new materials. One thing that is also quite fun is to kind of go through and um, go through sources maybe that you're not familiar with, and try to, especially some of the later sources, say like some of the 16th and 17th century materials, has a lot of solo flourishing drills, and um, I don't always agree with them as kind of a tactical approach, but they are, if you're just looking for something to help you kind of go through something different, and are willing to apply good structure to them, they could be kind of fun. The kind of practice as well. Um, let's see. So does anyone? Yeah. So I'm trying to think. But yeah, like Pilates is actually another thing. A friend of mine, Nicole, um, from this is years ago now, was really big into teaching Pilates, and there that's very good for core and back strength. Uh, a lot of the work I did to try to, because the nice thing also about Pilates is that, like, in the same way that yoga makes you very mindful of your emotions and your actions, Pilates is that, but on like uh, you know, steroids. Well, actually more like cocaine, because it's all the crazy actions. It's like a lot faster paced. Um, but it's different. Um, so yeah, I definitely recommend looking into some Pilates if that's something. If you're looking for something like not directly sword related, um, and also just looking for something different to mix it up. Um, yeah. Let's see. That being said, I'm gonna open up the floor for a couple more minutes to see if does anyone have any questions, comments, or suggestions they want to share with everyone. Anyone? Um, feel free to chat into the YouTube or the Discord. I have a comment coming in. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No? All right. Well, if no one has any final questions, like I said, everyone, watch out for a class this Friday. It's going to be fun. Like I said, we're going to be doing a couple new longsword kata, or I should say drills, um, with some parry riposte stuff, and I'll post that link in the Discord. It is actually available on the Sword Class website. It's a Zoom thing. I'll try to simul stream it to the Discord through the Zoom, learning all sorts of little fun tricks on how to do that. Um, and and then next week we'll do some yoga, and um, let's see. And also, if you haven't had a chance yet, please sign up for the Zettel reading. I'm looking for people to just read parts of the Zettel and send me an audio or video recording of them doing so. And we're going to make this really fun super cut. I've already posted a sample of some of the kind of ridiculousness that we're going to be diving into, including like auto tune and putting some dope beats behind it. So it should be a lot of fun. Uh, so go ahead and sign up. I know once we have everyone every section read, if people want to read multiple sections, also that's fine. Or if someone else has already read a section you want, overlap is okay, because it'll just help and make the supercut even better. Um, Otherwise, thank you everyone for checking in. I'm glad that um, we get to continue to do this together on Tuesdays, and um, I look forward to talking with everyone later this week. All right. Okay. All right. That being said, have a great night, everybody.